Tonight we are going in depth with Eastern Oklahoma Republican Congressman Josh Brecheen, who has a front row seat to all of the things playing out in Washington, D.C. right now, from tariffs to Greenland and more. Before we get to our unedited interview tonight, we should note, and he'll talk about it in this interview, the U.S. House did vote to keep the government open, but it is now in the hands of the U.S. Senate. Here is the Congressman unedited. Congressman, it's noticeable that the Republican majority has shrunk, and I'm just wondering, is it harder to govern now? And can any work be done, really?
Yeah, look, it forces people to have to get along. I actually have noticed that the tighter moments is more of an opportunity for people to have to lay their egos down and really be thinking about their motives, and what is behind an opposition. Look, principle-based, I'm always going to be for principle-based opposition. But, it can't just be to be a contrarian. And I thought it was very, very wise instruction coming from the speaker yesterday at the podium, reminding people about humility and humbling ourselves before each other. He wasn't encouraging people to violate principle, but to humble ourselves. And so there's a great quote, sometimes it's misattributed to Thomas Jefferson. It says, when it's a matter of principle, stand like a rock, but when it's a matter of taste, go with the stream. And so I think there's sometimes, some can just be oppositional because of a matter of taste. If it's a matter of principle, stand.
Congressman, there's always been talk about, after the last government shutdown back in November, that another opportunity for the government to shut down was happening in January. Is that still on the table? Will the government shut down?
Yeah, look, I don't think so. I'm cutting my eyes up to the left right now because in my office I can see what's happening on the floor. I just voted for the rule on the appropriations package, and it's a tie vote right now in this moment as we're doing this interview. And I have every expectation that we're going to be able. We only have a one-person majority right now, but whoever is the holdout right now, I feel like that we'll be able to land this vote. And this vote that's occurring right now is going to determine whether or not we have a government shutdown. I do not think we're going to.
Congressman, any day the Supreme Court will rule on President Trump's authority for tariffs. I know you were somewhat supportive of them as a way to balance the budget, but this sounds like, and even the president has said, this could be a disaster if the Supreme Court overturns those tariffs and his authority. Do you have any concerns that this could turn into a budget disaster depending this ruling?
Yeah, look, I had to shoot straight with the American people. We sent a balanced product over on the one big beautiful bill to the Senate. It got modified on the Senate side. It took out the balance of the pay-fors because of the Byrd rule and some changes. Lisa Murkowski had some changes. Other senators had some modifications. And so I had to be honest with the American people and say that it will take 2 to 3 years, the 10% floor of tariff revenue for the one big beautiful bill to have a true pay for. So we're not passing on debt and deficit loading to the American people. But look, it's important to know, however much government you want has to be how much government you're willing to pay for. On the federal government side, that has not been happening. It is why we have a $38 trillion gross national debt. But keep in mind, even at that 10% floor that we've experienced for a year now, the inflation, core inflation is 2.6% right now. So what that means is when you were averaging under the Biden administration year over year 5% inflation, we are now in historic norms. So thus far, tariffs have not proven themselves to be inflationary to the overall GDP or basket of goods and relative to our GDP. So that's important to note. If the Supreme Court strikes the tariffs down, then what I just described to you on the math, yes, that's an issue. I brought it up with Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, and it's why I am fully convinced that we need to get rid of the cloture that has been, I think, utilized too often on the Senate side, and we need to go back to a talking filibuster. The Jimmy Stewart, I'm forgetting the movie, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, historic practice of the filibuster. That's one thing. Using the 60-vote threshold on everything is not constitutional. In our Constitution, you will find that they heightened the level of a 2/3 vote to constitutional amendments. And I read to the speaker yesterday a quote by Thomas Jefferson that talks about in one of his State of the Union address, a simple majority. Our founders believed in a simple majority, not the tyranny of the minority. They did believe in protecting minority rights. But I believe that what the president's been advocating for, I think we need to go there. And I think we need to have the talking filibuster be where if you want to filibuster, take the 60 vote threshold, then you have to stand like Jimmy Stewart did and give an account. Otherwise, let's resolve things by simple majority vote. And the Democrats are going to do this. I'm fully convinced. If we don't do it in the next 2 years, the Democrats will use this tool. Sinema, Manchin were the two holding it back. They are no longer in the Senate. And so I think Republicans have a limited time here to bring that about. And that would bring about regulatory reform. And as I said to Scott Bessent, if we can get regulatory reform, what Mercatus study says would be now updated $5 trillion boom to our GDP. Regulatory reform, when we rein in a excessive amount of regulations. If we go back to the 1980 levels, it's a $5 trillion boom to our GDP. Let's say we even do half that, $3 trillion worth to our GDP. That 8% threshold change. That's significant in terms of what that will do to bring in more money. Mercatus said on that old dated information from 5 to 10 years ago, it's $10,000 in the average worker's pocket. That's what a change in the GDP would do.
Let me ask you this. Lots of talk about Greenland. Are you supportive of what the president is doing? He said he wouldn't use force, but we're going to get it somehow. What are you hearing, and what do you support?
I spoke to his staff directly last week in a private conversation. I am the constitutional means of Article 1 and then the president's Article 2 powers. It's important that what he was doing as the art of the deal, recognizing that offensive utilization of troops is an Article 1 power designated under Congress. The Speaker made that note, and the President, I'm grateful to him for coming out and clarifying that he is talking about the art of the deal, and that this is a discussion about how you can get a deal done. And look, in terms of the overall objective, it is something that he rightfully points out, that has been multiple administrations. We're so used to seeing flat maps in school and otherwise. If you go look at a globe, the connection point between us and Russia is closest when you go to our north and go over the top of Greenland to Russia. If there was ever a war coming from Asia, China, Russia, the closest point flight path is through Greenland. And for the Golden Dome and other things that, as we have advanced technology that the president's been talking about, it is of wise strategic value for us to be in operational control. So I look forward to the art of the deal panning out. And then look, if it's a monetary expenditure, yet again, the budget committee that I'm on, we got to figure out how to pay for it. So, there's lots of question marks moving ahead.
Last time I talked to you, healthcare was the big issue, and the president unveiled his plan. Is that going to go anywhere? Is there talk about taking votes on the president's plan that he rolled out this month?
I was excited when I saw the president's social media feed. There are many great things that he has discussed within that, things that would return us to free market principles. I had a hearing with the budget committee yesterday where we were talking about the unaffordability of the quote affordable care plan, Obamacare. When Obamacare took effect, the average family of four was paying $13,000 for their premiums. The average family of four, employer-based healthcare premiums. That cost now for that same family of four is $27,000. It's a 92% increase, exceeding the rate of inflation. More government involvement separating doctors from patients is only going to create a worsening of this problem. We have to get back to free market principles. When you go and you do healthcare expenditure, that you are really concerned about the price. And right now it's only concerned about if you're in network, out of network, copay, deductibles. And so free market principles of getting the best dollar and best quality, that has been removed from the healthcare. And it is why the cost explosion has happened. The distance between doctor and patient has been widened by the injection of government regulations and insurance. Insurance profits, stock market prices for the insurance companies have risen 600% since Obamacare took effect. We have to return the proximity of doctor to patient and free market principles back into the balance that it was for generations until excessive government got involved during and heightened under the Unaffordable Care Act, the Obamacare expansion.